Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're here every week, meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And today we welcome in a couple of guys who know the Oklahoma City Thunder very, very well.
Yeah, two interesting folks we're going to talk to today. The voices of the Oklahoma City Thunder, Chris Fisher and Michael Cage, are kind enough in a busy schedule to give us some time to talk about what's going on in their life. And I think our viewers are going to find it very interesting.
And a very remarkable team. It's all coming up today on The Verdict. We'll be right back.
I was very lucky to have Holmes Tuttle as my father. In 1965, my father and two other prominent businessmen in Los Angeles went to Ronald Reagan and encouraged him to run for governor. As time went on, they garnered a number of other prominent people to support Reagan, and that's what became known as the kitchen cabinet. I'm Bob Tuttle. I'm the former United States Ambassador to the United Kingdom, and I'm very proud to be a Chickasaw. On the day that President Reagan was inaugurated, and there were my parents seated very close to the president in the presidential box, and I thought, you know, maybe we wouldn't be here without my father. That was a very, very proud moment. I can remember him saying to the president, "Ron, this is what I think is best for the country." Every time I come to the library, I walk down the colonnade so I can take a look at that beautiful plaque. I think of my parents, to see them there and know how important they were to the Reagans and how important the Reagans were to them. And all he wanted to do was to do what was best for his country. When my father had passed away, President Reagan spoke at his service, was very moving. And I think part of his growing up in Oklahoma made him love his country, love his nation, and the pride of being a Chickasaw.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofnation.com.
We want to reach out to every veteran we can in Oklahoma. There's somewhere around 340,000 veterans here in Oklahoma, and half of those are still unaware of the benefits or don't know how to go about getting them.
We help guide the veterans through the VA system. It's a giant maze, and we kind of help guide them through that maze. So our job is to try to help the veterans get everything that they're legally entitled to. There's just a special place in my heart for our Vietnam veterans and our World War II veterans, as well as any veteran, and that's why I do the job.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
Well, as we indicated in the open, our two guests are both from the Oklahoma City Thunder. The first is Chris Fisher. Chris is the radio voice, play-by-play, the television voice, play-by-play for the Thunder. The other guest is Michael Cage, who is the TV analyst for the Oklahoma City Thunder. Chris did his undergraduate work at University of Southern California, was a radio voice for University of Southern California basketball. He also was the host of the University of Southern California football show. He's been with Fox Sports, the Pac-12 network, and other broadcasting entities. He began his broadcasting career doing minor league baseball, and it has progressed until he joined the Thunder this year. This is his first season with the Thunder. Chris, so glad to have you. Thanks for joining us.
Great to be here. Thank you for having us. You guys said that you're having interesting people. I hope we can live up to that, right,
Mike? Our other guest is a familiar face to our viewers because Michael's been on before. Michael Cage is a TV analyst. He had an outstanding college and pro career. As a matter of fact, the San Diego State Aztecs retired his jersey not too long ago. He spent 15 years in the NBA, was a rebounding champion one year, and has been with the Thunder now. This is his 6th year and his 2nd appearance on the show. Michael, glad to have you back.
Oh, thank you. And by the way, Kawhi Leonard just had his jersey retired at my alma mater, San Diego State. I was before him. A lot of people don't know that. I just want to make sure that everybody knows that. I was the first.
Did you ask to have your jersey right next to his, too?
Yeah, well, I'll give him his space. He's a pretty good player.
He's done okay for
But
himself.
I'm the first, though.
Yeah.
I just want everybody to know that.
That'll be the trivia question answer.
That will be.
All right, let's talk about this season. You know, you guys have a job to do. If they're in first place or in last place, you guys still show up and do every game with the level of professionalism that we're used to. But I want each of you to kind of discuss the idea that this team's a lot better than everybody thought they were going to be.
I think that's what's probably led to this being an entertaining year, because people came in and with the departures of last year and all of those new bodies, I don't think people really knew what to expect, and probably kept those expectations a little lower than maybe in years past. And that's allowed this team to grow and develop as the year's gone on, even with a slow start and getting under 500 over the first month and a half of the season. But this has been a really competitive group. It's been a group that has had to work through some kinks, and it has gotten to a point where, you know, they're going to probably make the postseason and make a push into the playoffs. And I think that's a real fun bonus for the fan base.
And I think, you know, if I can add to what Chris just said, the expectations the last couple of seasons have been pretty high. The expectations coming into this season were not that high. And, you know, when I first heard some of the great minds in the NBA predicting the Thunder would only win 30 games. Well, we're going to win a lot more than 30 games. We're over 30 right now. And when you realize how much it takes for the coaching staff, the players, G League players to step up in the event of injuries, and how you've gotten to the point where we're talking about playoffs, you know, I'm like going, okay, this is not an accident. I mean, first of all, Billy Donovan can coach. He's gotten a great chance to really mold a young group of guys together and maybe ask them to do a little bit more with a veteran group that's just been themselves, you know, with Chris Paul, Danilo Gallinari, Steven Adams, who's been, you know, probably the iconic figure of those three. And when you have that coming together and it's consistently out there every night, and they believe in each other, and the one mantra I think they've always said all season, they're having fun. We're having fun calling the games. They're having fun. We're winning, so it's just fun.
Well, let me ask you about the atmosphere in the arena. Is it fun? Are the fans having fun? Are they enthusiastic watching this team?
Well, we go to every single NBA arena, all 30 of them, and I will say this, when we are at home, there is a different energy in the building than when we go to some of these other cities. There is just so much anticipation to see this team, and I think it plays a part in the energy that's out there and maybe some of the comebacks that we've seen this season, because the passion is there every single night, all 41 games. And you just don't get that in every arena around the NBA. And I think that that's a testament to the fans. It's a testament to the team and the organization in putting a product out there that's entertaining, and the fans want to come out and support it.
Michael, you touched on Steven Adams earlier. You played some low post yourself.
A little bit. Not a whole lot, but I might, go ahead, I think I might be able to answer this.
What is it that he brings that has given him the longevity and in an era where you know, they're asking centers to do a lot more than they used to, he seems to be flourishing. His game doesn't seem to be wavering, even though he came in as a very you know, solid 5 on the roster.
Why do I get the tough questions?
Yeah. You know, break it down,
Come
Mike.
on, you got to slow it down a little bit. Work me into this interview here.
Hey, did you see that three-pointer that he had
Yeah, I know.
in New Orleans?
Exactly. That's a
all you
great
gotta
start. Really, with Adams, I think there are certain elements of the game that don't change. Low post defense, rebounding, rim running, you know, the fast break for a big man. The physicalness of the game will always be there, even though it's changed from my era to now with the flagrant 1, flagrant 2, or the upgrade if they decide the league next day on a hard foul. Adams keeps reinventing himself and just says, look, I know the game is evolving. Certain players have to change with it. I think, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4 positions, 1 through 4 spots, have to evolve, and it's a perimeter game. You got to shoot the 3. I don't necessarily agree that the 5 has to shoot the 3. If he's able to do it, do it. But if he's not, then master what you are, or what your game is all about. I think Steven Adams has shown that, you know, and yes, right, Chris, he did hit that three.
He did.
You know, as lofty as it was before the All-Star break, it still counts. You know, and I'm going, Adams, hang your hat on that, because I'm a guy that, you know, I took 25 threes,
And?
zero.
Zero.
Yeah, bagel on the makes. I'm going, Adams, yes, you are in the books. You made a three, and you're doing everything else. So that's the long answer. The short answer is that, you know, Steven Adams is like I can't really know if I can compare him to too many guys. Maybe an Andre Drummond, but he has more to offer on the offensive end.
Well, did Andre throw himself on the floor going for loose balls?
Oh,
and
no,
stuff?
no,
I mean,
not Drummond. Drummond is above the rim guy. Adams plays above and below.
Yeah, he does.
You know, I've never seen a guy 7 feet tall that's so willing to sacrifice his body. And you know, every time you fall on that floor, let me tell you, from a guy that knows, you come up with burns. You know, they may not show. Adams might get up and look like it, you know, it didn't hurt, but you have these burns, and he plays like that. You know, he plays with such an intensity. Obviously, he's been here his entire career. The fan base love him, and the team has always been able to anchor themselves around his defense, and the offense is always there around him as well.
Talk about Chris Paul. I loved Chris Paul when he was here with the Hornets, and I hated to see him leave when the Hornets left. I don't follow this as well as I should probably, but I was surprised when he came back, but pleasantly so. What are your impressions of Chris Paul this year?
Well, Chris has just been incredible on every single level for this organization, on the court, off the court, the leadership that he's shown just on a daily basis, the leadership for this team, and being an extension of the coach. I mean, we get to see him nightly, and the control that he has during a game is just incredible. From being able to manipulate plays, to getting where he wants to setting an example as a defensive player, but being the vocal leader. You cannot say enough about him. And it's really been remarkable, because I think that everybody just kind of wrote him off coming in. He had the injuries in Houston, and they never made the NBA Finals, and kind of that fractured relationship with James Harden. And everybody assumed that he would want to leave Oklahoma City, the city that really kind of he started his career in. And it's just been the complete opposite. He's played great, earned his All-Star bid, and has embraced this team, and embraced this city, and embraced the organization. And you go from one Hall of Famer to another, and it's one of the big reasons why they're probably going to the postseason. I mean, he missed one game so far this season just because of the Kobe Bryant passing, and you just cannot say enough about the job that he's done with these young players too. And Michael was talking about having a veteran group and kind of a younger group, and being able to incorporate them all, and it's been his leadership as to why.
Let me jump in and get us to a break. We're visiting with Chris Fisher and Michael Cage. We're talking about the Oklahoma City Thunder, and we'll be right back.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative. And this year, our competition teams rank #2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. loyal to Oklahoma, loyal to you.
Back on The Verdict, visiting with Chris Fisher and Michael Cage, the Oklahoma City Thunder broadcast team. During the break, we were discussing how Coach Donovan has used Steven Adams this year and had made him a part of this important part of the offense.
I think it's terrific because a lot of time coaches will try to bring in their system. Well, this is what I do, and I need these players to make this work. I thought that Billy Donovan's done a great job of incorporating Adams into the system. And that's the mark of really just a good coach who knows, this is what I have to work with. And if it's Adams, if it's Nerlens Noel, whoever, in this case it's Steven Adams, I'm going to make him a part of what we're doing. So he's a part, he anchors the defense. And if you notice at the start of ball games with the Thunder, we try to go into him right away. Mm-hmm. Because he stabilizes and gets you off to a good start on a high percentage shot around the post. So, and you know this, Adams is not one of those guys who's going to, catch the ball in the mid post, head fake, step back three. He's not going to do that. So you have to kind of put him in his area. Billy Donovan has done a great job of just putting him in all of these guys, and mainly Adams, in positions where they can be successful.
Let me focus a little bit on you guys. We've been talking about the team, and that's interesting, and we wish them well, but we're really kind of interested in finding out a little bit about you all. You're on an 82-game regular season schedule, not counting anything extra. How hard is it being in the position you're in? Chris, start out talking about it.
Well, Michael's got a lot more experience than I do, but I will go back to kind of the foundation of it all. If you don't love the grind, you're doing the wrong thing. And I think that we all kind of have this really deep love for sports that fuels us and sort of the competitive nature on a nightly basis that we all look forward to. Now, don't get me wrong, there are nights when we want to take a nap at halftime, but it's just kind of part of it, and we are fortunate enough to be a part of that grind, and we embrace it. And Michael has a great line when he says, sometimes the schedule makes you laugh and sometimes it makes you cry. But I go back to that all the time. I mean, it's just so true. I mean, you'll play 3 games in 4 nights and you won't even know what time zone you're in or what city you're in or what, you go to the wrong hotel room from time to time. But we all love it. Yeah. We deep down, we love it. And it's a lot of games in a short amount of time. You're playing 82 games in about 5.5, 6 months, yeah. And they really pack it in, and you got a back-to-back in 2 different cities. But it's a deep love that has some deep roots, I think.
Michael, you've been doing this 22, 23 years, counting your analyst time and your playing time. This has been at least half your life, practically.
I'm a lifer, and like Chris said, the grind is a part of it, and you love it, you hate it, then you love it again. It sounds like what my wife says to me. I don't know why, but and you just have to understand that it's see the big picture. And for me, I played 1,138 games as a player over 15 seasons. And I was going, all right. I was exhausted whenever you get over the double nickel. The 55 games, because usually 55 puts us at the All-Star break. Mm-hmm. And the rest of the time, you're trying to just hang on and refresh, like we always try to do. And as a team, we try to lift each other up, because there's nights when, as much as I talk, I don't have the energy. And, Chris kind of nudges me, and he carries the broadcast. We start to read each other. Now, here's my answer to that question you asked. When I was a player, it was a grind. I mean, the travel, the hotels, trying to find good food to eat on the road, trying to get sleep. When you got 3 games in 4 nights and you're flying 2 of those 3 nights, that's really tough. Like the Thunder, a couple of weeks ago, we had a game where we were playing in Chicago, and then we flew back, played 1 game in Oklahoma, flew back after the game and played in Milwaukee. That repeats itself throughout the season, and that's tough. But here's what you really look at for me. I thought I had it made once I got done with my pro career and I went into broadcasting. I said, it's a piece of cake. Okay, boy, was I wrong. Yeah, because we're on the flights. You know, we're at the hotels. You know, we're at the games. We're at the practices. It never stops. And I'm looking at these young kids, Shea, and I'm looking at Abdul Nader. I'll throw Shooter in there. And sometimes these guys, they look like the Walking Dead. And then they have to get out there and play. And I watch them flip that switch. And that's what, you know, we've learned to try to develop that chemistry. When the lights come on, flip that switch, and because you know it's an energy that's out there on that floor, and man, it's like the Matrix. You try to plug in and get going as well.
Well, you guys look fresh every night. Talk about the preparation you have to do game by game. I mean, you don't let anything carry over, I guess.
I think it's preparation for me is just an ongoing process. It's layered. There's a macro preparation of just kind of keeping up with what's going on with the league and what's going on with teams in the Western Conference, and just trying to stay familiar with trends that are going on with teams and whatnot. And then you've got the preparation of a game itself with various players and stats and storylines. And then you've got the preparation of really like leading up to the broadcast. And we won't know who's playing sometimes or who's getting a start because he's questionable coming in. And then we have to make an adjustment. Okay, if this happens, this will happen. I mean, that happens sometimes right before we even go on air, and we'll have our producer in our ear saying, okay, you need to adjust to this because he's going to be out tonight. So it's a very layered approach from a macro level to a micro level, but it's ongoing. I'm constantly reading about something that's going on in the NBA. I feel like I'm constantly reading about something that's going on with our team if I'm not with the team or I'm not able to ask somebody. So it's just like a full-time job. It's not just, okay, you show up for these games and you put a headset on and you start calling what's taking place in front of you. There's a lot of preparation that goes on. It's a matter of familiarity, your team, the opposing team, the league. It's just constant. I'm sure you probably feel the same way.
Yeah, you know, it's kind of like 24-hour TV. Whenever you want to watch something, just turn it on. It's there. Our brains never turn off because, you know, the thing that changes, like, if we play tonight, new information comes out all the way around the league. So the next day, what you were reading yesterday is old news. And in today's world where there's so many social media platforms, you can get that information a lot faster. Like tonight after the game or tomorrow night or whenever you play, that information is changing. And that information needs to be plugged into what you're doing. So you learn to have a base for what you're going to talk about. You know, you need to talk about the Thunder and the players. Well, what changed? Because Adams, could have hit another three-pointer by then, or Dennis Schroeder could have, consecutive 25-point games off the bench. Shea could have another 20-20 triple-double, which he's the youngest player to ever accomplish that. He could have a second one of those. And in the season, the Thunder earlier in the season, winning 9 games on the road, a team record. Those things are always popping up and they're in the back of your mind. So when we're doing the prep work, you also realize there's been some historical things that have happened in the season that need to be repeated along with the current information. So I think that's where it becomes a challenge. And that's where I think the love for the game, because you can look at that as a grind, or you can look at it and say, man, you know what? This is what's so beautiful about this game. Adams made his second 3 of the game, of the season, or Shea had another one of those powerful triple doubles at his age that's never been done before, and it just rejuvenates you, and that's how you do it, man. I tell you, I love having a partner like him who's so knowledgeable, because sometimes I get a little bit too excited. He's always just, hey, Michael, come on, man, this is 4 quarters. This is not the first, this is first quarter, Michael. And, we don't need 2 of me. So we
he brings that player mentality. It's great.
we help each other get through these times, especially now that, we're rounding almost third base, heading for home, toward the end of the season here.
It's
Michael Cage and Chris Fisher. We have to wrap it up, Chris. The 18 minutes is gone. It goes faster than a quarter in basketball.
Yeah. We can talk. There's no doubt about it, right, Mike? we can talk.
Kent and I'll be right back after this.
It used to be okay in hospitals, It used to be okay in movie theaters. It was okay in classrooms, restaurants, and airplanes. But thanks to a greater understanding of the dangers, that's not okay anymore. So now that we know secondhand smoke causes lifelong health problems, why is it still okay to smoke with children in the car? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's get serious about protecting kids. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
We have children come from a different lifestyle, different mindset. You have to open your arms and really do what you have to do to have that child become a part of your family. And if it's more patience, that's what you do. Kids got to know they can trust you. And that's what we try to do with these kids.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're wrapping up a show with Chris Fisher and Michael Cage of the Oklahoma City Thunder broadcast team.
Boy, they really did a good job. Of course, they do a wonderful job on the air, but in person they're very, very nice, very down to earth, easy to talk to, and it's understandable why they come across that way on the air because that's really the way they are.
Interesting to see an NBA veteran like Michael Cage talk about how impressed he is with Billy Donovan's coaching ability this year.
Yes.
Some things he picked up on about the way that he has incorporated Steven Adams' strength into the offense that he wants to run. He didn't just take his offense and make the players mold into what he wanted to do. He took the talent on the field.
Indeed.
We've got some website information for you. There's the Thunder continue toward the playoffs. You can get more information about the team at nba.com/thunder. That's nba.com/thunder. And we have a website. We'd love for you to log on and tell us about a guest you'd like to see. We'll see you next week.